Hello everybody. To pop on, as I mentioned the post the other day about however we're all going through times of uncertainty and we have basic human needs that we're trying to meet all of the time. Two of those basic human needs are certainty and uncertainty. Certainty meaning things that we can expect, habits, routines, and uncertainty is the excitement, the spice of life, where there's a little bit of risk, there's a little bit of change, we don't know exactly what's coming. But now, because of the balance is skewed in terms of our normal, what we're used to, what we expect, our levels of uncertainty is way off the charts the other direction, where most of us are feeling more uncertain than we are certain. And that's obviously creating a lot of stress or stimulating a lot of stress within us. But before I do go on, I want to make sure I actually have the phone in the right orientation. If everyone, if you can just make a comment on this, that I'm not sideways on your screen, that would be great. So if you could just make a comment that the orientation is correct and I'm not sideways on your screen, I'd appreciate that. And I'll fix it if I need to. Okay, so I will keep going though. So when we are exploring or want to reflect inside how we can navigate any times of change, now is more change than we're used to. You know, we were most of us probably not expecting this kind of change in this way. So how we can do that is when we're feeling so uncertain, look to where we are certain. And there are ways that you can healthily do that, and there are ways that are less than ideal or less healthy. So what I'd suggest is to, and what this is what I frequently will talk with clients about, and what I do in my own life, is what I can be certain of is what I can do right now. And if I don't know what to do now, it means my mind is in other places other than this present moment. And when you can do that, you can be present with your breath. And I mentioned this, I started this yesterday, the step 1 of 5 of the Sanity Fundamentals. The first one is to relax and release. And we do that by breathing. We will often breathe high in the chest and in our neck. And for our nervous system, that doesn't induce any sort of relaxation. This is the one time of year I love this, the sound of the birds, right? And so if we want to help our nervous system biologically relax and release, what we'll need to do is we'll need to breathe fully into our body. And we can do that by increasing the depth of our breath and slowing down the pace. Right? So if we're feeling anxious, we have our levels of uncertainty are really high, we don't really know what to grab onto, use your breath to bring your biology in line with how you are feeling or how you prefer to feel. Instead of being ramped up and stuck in the hamster wheel of anxiety or uncertainty or stress. And in this moment, what's so important is to remember that we have breath. And we're going to be seeing, and we already are, and we've been actually seeing this for thousands of years, but right now in a condensed format, people around the world saying basically the same thing. It's not rocket science. In this moment right now, I didn't come up with this brand new revelation that, oh my gosh, we have the present moment, we have breath. No, this is not me being brilliant by any means. This is truth that is now coming out of more people because of the intensity of what we're experiencing. Okay, so what we can do is we can use your breath. And we do that by taking a moment. Now, obviously, if you don't want to do this when you're driving a car or in a situation that requires your attention, we do this by pausing and just breathing. Now, we're breathing anyway, but we're breathing mindfully, we're breathing with meaning and intention. And the intention I'm talking about here is paying attention to how you're breathing. And with breath, first is to not need to change it at all. Just allow your body to respond to your attention that you're putting on your breathing. So it might look like this. Put my feet flat on the ground. I like to close my eyes because it helps me relax. And just by simply paying attention to how I'm breathing, my breathing responds. As if my attention and my breath were two separate things. And all of a sudden they begin to be in relationship with each other, and then they respond to the attention of that relationship. And it's a good attention. And then you can bring the breath deeply into I can't see the rest of my body, deeply into the body, right into your tummy, instead of up into your neck and your upper chest. So when we're relaxed, for example, when we're falling asleep, or we're just waking up in a relaxed way, or we're having a nap, or snuggling with an animal or a loved one, or whatever it is, or just receiving or giving a hug, our breathing changes. So that's what we're looking for. So the breath coming down into the body. Brief pause, and then slowly exhale. We come in a little bit of a bigger state. Breathe a little bit more deeply. Pause just for a brief moment, and fully exhale. When we can change our physiological state, our nervous system's response to stress, we become aware of different options in the moment of what we're faced with. It's going back to what I started with in my post the other day about certainty and uncertainty, is that when you're feeling uncertain, it doesn't mean that there aren't ways to feel certain. And it doesn't mean there aren't solutions that you can successfully and healthily move forward into. It just means in this moment, the stress or the anxiety is blocking or filtering out. I love this is our neighbor's dog, our neighbor's dog, right? He's a little bit of our dog sometimes. He's wonderful to have around. His name is Blackie, and he gets very excited when his people come home, or if somebody's walking down the street. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, reaching for certainty and blocking solutions. So when we change our state, our biological state, our nervous system state, we change the way that we perceive options. Thank goodness I love dogs, honestly. He's so great. He's so expressive, and I love that about him. Is that, so when we become aware of options, and when we have options that may have been there, but we just didn't see them because of our state, because we're in high anxiety or high stress state. We're so uncertain about how to move forward that we don't even see a way forward, or the way forward that would lead into a different problem instead of resolving the issue that we have with. And we're all faced with different issues now, and we need to respect that and say, yes, this is the way it is. We're not running away from reality. We're not pretending a problem doesn't exist. That's not optimism. That's naivety. Right? That's pushing your head in the sand and hoping something doesn't exist by just ignoring it. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about here is being truly present with what is, to be able to see an option around us that we can successfully move forward and make everyone's life better. That's what we're driving towards. So that's really what I wanted to mention today. This weekend I have a longer video that I'm doing on Saturday. I think it's noon. You'll have to check on my events. It'll be about an hour and a half perhaps, depending on the nature. And we'll be talking about more levels of uncertainty, certainty, proactivity and reactivity. So we do want to just briefly mention this before we head off today, is we are always being slightly reactive. We're responding all the time to the new stimulus coming in, and that's the assessment, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. But if we're only always doing that, and we're not meaningfully engaging with what we already know to be principled or strategic or effectively true, then we're always going to be floating around. We're like the whip, right? The end of the rope that's way farther away from the control that you have, the certainty you can have. Anyway, so that's on Saturday. Okay. Much love and respect to everyone here. I hope you're navigating as well as you can with your life, and you can effectively move through into a healed way forward for everybody. Because this is Blackie. It's all right, buddy. Yeah, it's a good boy. Right. So this way forward is the challenging we're faced with is the dysfunction that was no longer operating at a level that was healthy for the majority of the population is crumbling, and it's supposed to. There's through change there's chaos, and the chaos is removing the illusion that something was working effectively all the way across, and it's not. And so now we're simply realizing, okay, this is a situation, we're looking at the holes, we're seeing the holes in the system, so let's build a better system. And we all get to do that in our lives, in the relationship we have with life, how we interact and support the relationships we have in our lives. And we get to honestly also look at, okay, well, maybe we didn't always do that really well before. And that's all right. We get to assess. And if we didn't do it well before, how would I do it differently? Or how am I going to do it differently now? How can I commit to that for the quality of my life, for the quality of the lives of others that I care about, or people I haven't even met yet, or simply someone passing the street, keeping your 2-meter distance, which I guess is about 6 feet, until we no longer have to do that anymore, which would be great. I look forward to that. So it's a time to reflect and assess and build something different. In the beginning of February, I made a post about the false castle falling. And the truth that's been hitting is now going to be known to the masses, and that's what's happening. And people have been saying this for, again, decades, hundreds, thousands of years. What doesn't work is not always going to work. It's going to be tested, and this is the stress test of the system. And there are parts where it's working, and there are parts where it's not. Ultimately, going back to the certainty and uncertainty, humans are communal. We reach out to each other. We like that. Systems are in place to allow for that, and that is a good system. So encourage that. Encourage the healthy relationship you have in your life as you move forward. Okay, so this is a very brief, well, maybe it's not so brief now, but it was intended to be a brief hello, shout out, thank you to everyone who's doing the best they can, and so many incredible people offering wisdom and advice and value with their respective offerings. If someone has a product or service that helps people in this time, we want, the world needs that. It doesn't need people to pull back and not try to do what they can for the world. So if someone does send you a note, I've seen a lot of business owners, small, medium, large businesses some of them are having a really tough time right now. And so if they have a product or service that is valuable to you, it's helping the quality of your life, then I encourage you to have a relationship with that person or company so that everyone is better. We're meant to share and be good together. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you very much for being engaged with your life. And if that means that you get to assess and determine if there are other ways that you can be engaged, please do so. And be good to each other, be gentle with yourself. And I'm quite certain we will be talking soon. Turn this off from my phone. That's sideways now. Oh, there it is. Bye, everybody.